Psalm 23 is one of the most quoted passages in the entire Bible. And that is exactly why so many people miss its deepest power. We hear it at funerals. We repeat it in hard seasons. We print it on cards, hang it on walls, and whisper it when fear rises in the night. The Lord is my shepherd. Those words feel familiar, warm, and safe. But familiarity can be dangerous. When something becomes common, we stop trembling before it. We stop listening closely. We assume we already know what it means. And because of that, we miss the secret hidden in plain sight. David was not writing a soft religious poem for sad moments. He was giving testimony. He was pulling back the curtain on a reality that had shaped his entire life. Before David was a king, before he wore a crown, before he stood before armies, he stood in fields with sheep. He knew what sheep were like. They were weak, wandering, fearful, and completely dependent. He also knew what a true shepherd did. A shepherd guided, guarded, fed, corrected, searched, carried, and stayed. So when David said, "The Lord is my shepherd," he was not offering a metaphor to decorate worship. He was declaring the structure of his life. That is where the hidden secret begins. Most people read Psalm 23 and focus on the blessings: green pastures, still waters, restored soul, overflowing cup, goodness and mercy. But the center of the psalm is not the gifts. It is the shepherd himself. The secret of Psalm 23 is that peace does not come from better circumstances. It comes from belonging completely to the shepherd, who is already ahead of you. Provision does not come from controlling life. It comes from trusting the one who leads. Courage does not come from escaping the valley. It comes from discovering that the shepherd enters the valley with you. That changes everything. It means Psalm 23 is not just a chapter about comfort. It is a chapter about surrender. It is not merely telling you that God can help you. It is telling you that life only becomes whole when God is allowed to lead you. Sheep do not create pasture. Sheep do not discover safety by intellect. Sheep live because they stay near the shepherd. David and he wrote from the place of someone who had been chased, broken, restored, corrected, protected, and kept alive by the faithful hand of God. So today we are not going to treat Psalm 23 like a familiar decoration. We are going to walk through it like people who need it. We are going to uncover the secret most people miss. The shepherd is the blessing. His presence is the provision. His nearness is the peace. His leadership is the restoration. And once that truth settles into your heart, you do not just admire Psalm 23, you begin to live inside it. That is why this psalm can change your life forever. It does not merely comfort you in trouble. It teaches you how to follow the God who never stops shepherding his own. The psalm opens with a line so simple that people often rush past it. "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." David is not saying he will get every earthly desire. He is saying something deeper. Because the Lord is his shepherd, lack no longer defines his life. The secret of provision in Psalm 23 is not that God gives endless extras. It is that God himself becomes enough. Sheep survive because the shepherd knows where food is, where danger is, where water is, and where shelter is. In the same way, believers live in quiet strength when they stop treating God as a backup plan and start receiving him as their source. Anxiety grows when we try to shepherd ourselves. Peace begins when we accept that the shepherd already knows what we need. Then David says, "He makes me lie down in green pastures." That line is more radical than it sounds. Sheep do not lie down easily. They stay restless when they are hungry, frightened, irritated, or threatened. So if the shepherd makes them lie down, it means he has removed the conditions that keep them panicked. Here is the secret of rest. Rest is not laziness. Rest is trust. Many people want the peace of green pastures without surrendering to the hand that leads them there. They want rest while still controlling everything. But the shepherd sometimes makes his sheep lie down because they are too frantic to stop on their own. God does that with us. Through waiting, weakness, disappointment, or closed doors. He slows us down, not to harm us, but to save us from exhausting ourselves outside his care. David continues, "He leads me beside still waters." Sheep fear rushing water because it can carry them away. A good shepherd, that is the secret of peace. God's peace is not produced by the absence of noise. It is produced by the presence of his guidance. The world offers rushing waters every day. Hurry, comparison, headlines, bills, pressure, ambition, regret. All of it moves fast. All of it tells you to panic. But the shepherd does not feed your soul with chaos. He leads you to stillness. He teaches you to drink from his presence, not from the world's noise. That is why Jesus could sleep in a storm and why Paul could sing in prison. Still waters are not just places. They are the calm that comes when the shepherd is trusted more than the storm is feared. Next comes one of the sweetest lines in all of Scripture. He restores my soul. Life bruises people. It leaves invisible damage. Shame, grief, betrayal, failure, loss, disappointment, and fear can drain a soul until a person keeps moving on the outside while dying inwardly. David does not say, "I restore myself." He says, "He restores my soul." That is the secret of healing. Real healing is not self-construction. It is divine restoration. The shepherd does not merely issue commands from a distance. He comes close to what is broken. He lifts what has fallen. He returns what has wandered. He renews what has collapsed. That is why Psalm 23 is not a message for the naturally strong. It is a lifeline for the weary. If your soul feels damaged, the answer is not to pretend strength. It is to stay close enough to the shepherd to be restored by him. David then says, "He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake." That verse reveals the secret of direction. The righteous path is not always the easiest path, but it is always the right one under the shepherd's hand. God does not guide his people for their comfort alone. He guides them for his glory. That matters because it means your story is bigger than your convenience. The shepherd leads in ways that display his character. Sometimes that includes waiting. Sometimes it includes correction. Sometimes it includes detours that only make sense years later. But the Psalm says he leads. That means the life of faith is not meant to be lived by panic and guesswork. God guides through his word, his spirit, wise counsel, closed doors, open doors, and holy conviction. The secret is not learning how to predict every step. The secret is learning to trust the one who never loses the path. Then the psalm shifts. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. The language becomes intensely personal. David no longer talks only about the shepherd. He talks to him. That is the secret of courage. The valley is real, but the shadow is not final. David does not say believers avoid valleys. He says they walk through them. The Christian life includes darkness, loss, uncertainty, sickness, grief, and seasons where the ground feels cold beneath your feet. But the valley is transformed by one truth. You are with me. The presence of the shepherd does not always remove the valley immediately, but it destroys its ultimate power. A shadow cannot kill you. It only announces that light is nearby. So courage in Psalm 23 is not self-confidence. It is confidence in companionship. The shepherd is with you, and that changes how fear behaves in the dark. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. At first that sounds strange. The rod was a weapon for protection. The staff was a tool for guidance and correction. Yet David calls them comfort. That is the secret of discipline and protection. God's correction is not evidence that he has rejected you. It is evidence that he refuses to lose you. The rod means the shepherd fights what threatens the flock. The staff means the shepherd pulls wandering sheep back from destruction. Many people only want a gentle God. But Psalm 23 reveals a stronger tenderness. The shepherd loves enough to defend and loves enough to correct. His comfort is not softness without strength. It is the security of knowing you are guarded and guided by hands that understand danger better than you do. David then declares, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." That is the secret of victory. God does not always remove opposition before blessing his people. Sometimes he blesses them in full view of what tried to destroy them. In the ancient world, a table meant fellowship, honor, provision, and favor. David is saying that the enemies do not control the outcome. They can watch, but they cannot cancel what God has prepared. Then he adds, "You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows." That is the secret of favor. The shepherd does not care for his sheep barely enough. He ministers with abundance. Oil in Scripture speaks of healing, consecration, refreshment, and protection. Overflow means God is not merely trying to help you survive. He is forming a life that carries his goodness beyond you to others. Finally, David ends with this certainty. "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever." That is the secret most people miss. Goodness and mercy are not occasional visitors. They are covenant companions. And forever is not just future comfort after death. It is the confidence that the shepherd's care never expires. Psalm 23 begins with belonging and ends with home. The one who is shepherded now will be kept forever. That is why the psalm is so life-changing. It is not merely a promise that hard days will feel better. It is the revelation that the whole of life, from pasture to valley to table to eternity, is held together by the faithful nearness of the shepherd. Psalm 23 is not famous because it sounds beautiful. It is powerful because it reveals how life actually works under the hand of God. The secret is not hidden in a complicated code. It is hidden in a truth simple enough for children and deep enough for dying saints. The shepherd is everything. Most people come to this psalm wanting provision, peace, healing, direction, courage, protection, victory, and hope. David shows that all of those things are found in one place: the presence and leadership of the shepherd himself. That is why the psalm changes your life forever when you finally see it. You stop chasing what only the shepherd can give. You stop begging for control and begin learning trust. You stop thinking of God as a distant rescuer who appears only in emergencies. You begin to know Him as the one who leads, feeds, restores, guards, corrects, honors, and keeps you every day. Even the valley changes when seen through that lens. You are not abandoned there. You are accompanied there. So the invitation of Psalm 23 is not merely to admire God's care. It is to yield to it. Let Him shepherd you. Let Him make you rest. Let Him lead you to still waters. Let Him restore what life has drained. Let Him guide your steps. Let Him walk with you through the dark. Let Him fight for you, correct you, bless you, and bring you home. Once that truth takes hold, Psalm 23 is no longer just a chapter you quote. It becomes the way you live, the way you suffer, and the way you hope forever.